Hello everybody, the Quiet Atheist here. Before I get started with this video, I would like to take this opportunity to thank an individual subscriber of mine for basically inspiring me to make this video. And she goes by the name of Lisa Irwin. So Lisa, this video is going to be dedicated to you and I hope that you like it. Now the first thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is a discussion that I observed earlier today. Now, initially, this discussion was about how us atheists should approach Christians when it comes to serious discussions that need to take place. Now, these two individuals that were involved in this discussion really expressed their disagreements with atheists who have an aggressive approach to Christians when it comes to these serious discussions. Now, these two particular individuals involved basically say that this aggressive approach is completely unnecessary, that it's immature, that it's lame, that it's childish, etc., etc. And I happen to disagree with that, and here's why. You see, there are Christians out there right now who are actively trying to make atheists look like fools. There are Christians out there right now who are literally trying to make atheists look like a bunch of immoral monsters that know nothing of morality. There are Christians out there right now who are spreading lies, they're spreading propaganda, and they're not providing any evidence to back up any of their positions at all in any way, shape, or form. You have Christians out there right now in Capitol Hill who are literally ripping apart the Constitution because all they want is a theocracy. They want people to behave like them. They want people to live like them. They want people to think like them, and that's just simply ridiculous. There are even Christians out there in the public sector and in Capitol Hill who seem to think that there is no problem with discriminating against atheists, even in public schools, and this is simply ridiculous. And that is why I think that this aggressive approach is needed. These Christians have to realize that what they are doing is wrong, and I think that it's safe to say that this aggressive approach would make these Christians realize that what they are doing is wrong. And I hope by the end of this video you guys will actually see what I mean. You know, Christians say that this alleged God of theirs is loving. They say that he poured all his grace into this world. But look around. Do you see it? Do you see it anywhere? Now, I want to continue this discussion a little bit because it is extremely important to me. Now, there are Christians out there who are actively discriminating against the LGBT community because of the same-sex marriage issue. They don't want these individuals to marry each other because they think that the LGBT community is disgusting. They think that these people are unnatural despite the evidence to the contrary. They think that these individuals are perverted and that they don't deserve any of the rights that everybody else has. And that's just simply ridiculous. Now, there are Christians out there who are actively suppressing women as well. They think that women don't deserve to have any rights as far as their own personal health is concerned, and that is equally ridiculous as well. Then you have individuals out there like Ann Coulter, who is a Christian, by the way, who thinks that it's necessary to take a woman's right away from her when it comes to voting, if you will, and that is also preposterous. Then you have other Christians out there who are basically saying that, climate change doesn't exist and that the only reason why these things are happening is because their alleged God is unhappy, if you will, and that is why we are bringing all of this to us. And this is simply ridiculous. All of these claims are ridiculous. And when you sit back and really look at all of these things that Christians have to say, you realize that they are getting all of this crap from their alleged good book, and that is where the real problems are. Leviticus 20:13. If a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them shall be put to death for their abominable deed. They have forfeited their lives. But if this charge is true, that she wasn't a virgin on her wedding night, and evidence of the girl's virginity is not found, they shall bring the girl to the entrance of her father's house, and there her townsmen shall stone her to death, because she committed a crime against Israel by her unchasteness in her father's house. Thus shall you purge the evil from your midst. Deuteronomy 22:20 and 21. Psalm 137:9. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. From there Elijah went up to Bethel. While he was on his way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him. "Go up, bald head," they shouted. "Go up, bald head." The prophet turned and saw them, and he cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the children to pieces. 2 Kings 2, 23 and 24. Deuteronomy 22, 28 and 29. If a man is caught in the act of raping a young woman who is not engaged, he must pay 50 pieces of silver to her father. Then he must marry the young woman because he violated her, and he will never be allowed to divorce her. Deuteronomy 22, 23 and 24. If within the city a man comes upon a maiden who is betrothed and has relations with her, you shall bring them both out of the gate of the city, and there stone them to death. The girl because she did not cry out for help, though she was in the city, and the man because he violated his neighbor's wife. Lo, a day shall come for the Lord when the spoils shall be divided in your midst, and I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem for battle. The city shall be taken, houses plundered, women ravished. Half of the city shall go into exile, but the rest of the people shall not be removed from the city. Zechariah 14, 1 and 2. They must be dividing the spoils they took. There must be a damsel or 2 for each man, spoils of dyed cloth, as Sisera's spoil, an ornate shawl or 2 for me in the spoil. Judges 5:30. Now, after listening to these things that I have mentioned, do you think that this alleged God of Christianity is good? The article that I'm about to share with you guys is titled 151 Victims of Mass Shootings in 2012. Here are their stories. The media coverage tends to linger on the killers, but as the nation mourns the excruciating losses in Newtown and finally begins to confront an epidemic of mass shootings amid the worst year for them in modern U.S. history, it is equally important to bear witness to the victims. What follows are portraits of 151 people physically wounded or killed in the rampages of 2012. In addition to the victims of this year's 7 mass shootings, we've included the victims of similar but less lethal rampages in a Portland shopping mall, a Milwaukee spa, and a Cleveland high school. The total number of lives devastated by these attacks far exceeds 151. Of course, starting with the survivors who narrowly escaped physical harm, such as the unidentified 6-year-old girl who played dead and walked out of Sandy Hook Elementary School against all odds. Mother Jones has only included photos of those injured and killed that were shared publicly by the families or survivors themselves, or for which we were granted specific permission. For essential context and findings from our in-depth investigation, also see our Guide to Mass Shootings in America. Scroll down to begin or jump directly to any of these attacks of 2012. Like this particular article specifically says, there's 151 photos of victims that were unfortunately involved in these situations. There's also specific links that basically tell you, where you can go if you are interested in particular information that is involved with these different attacks. The Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings occurred on December 14, 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut, when 20-year-old Adam Lanza fatally shot 20 children and 6 adult staff members. Prior to driving to the school, Lanza shot and killed his mother at their Newtown home. As first responders arrived at the scene, Lanza committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. The incident was the deadliest mass shooting at a high school or grade school in U.S. history and the second deadliest mass shooting by a single person in U.S. history, after the 2007 Virginia Tech shootings. Now, a total of 28 people died that day. Did you guys know that 89,127 people have died by gun deaths since the Sandy Hook tragedy? In the Korean War, there were 54,246 Americans that died. We lost 25,000 Americans in the Revolutionary War. And in the War on Terror, we lost 6,717 Americans. That murder rates in major U.S. cities are on the decline is popular knowledge. New York City is often held up as the example. In 1990, New York City had more than 2,000 homicides. By 2014, that number was down to just over 300. It's a common trend of many cities, including Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and Dallas, among others. Even cities with especially high murder rates have seen a relative decline. New Orleans ranks 9 on this year's list, down from 4 last year, and St. Louis improved from 10 to 12. Now, in this particular article that I'm sharing with you guys, they contain a list of 30 murder capitals here in America. So feel free to take a look at that when you get the chance. Some 795 million people in the world do not have enough food to lead a healthy, active life. That's about 1 in 9 people on Earth. The vast majority of the world's hungry people live in developing countries where 13.5% of the population is undernourished. Asia is the continent with the most hungry people, 2/3 of the total. The percentage in Southern Asia has fallen in recent years, but in Western Asia, it has increased slightly. Sub-Saharan Africa is the region with the highest prevalence for percentage of population of hunger. 1 person in 4 there is undernourished. Poor nutrition causes nearly half, 45% of deaths in children under 5. That's 3.1 million children each year. So after sharing this information with you guys, I have determined that this is just a drop in the bucket compared to what this planet has to experience on a daily basis. I mean, there are so many things out there that literally have the potential to kill us off completely. There are so many things out there that literally have the potential to kill this planet, including us as well. So I am left wondering now, if this alleged God of Christianity actually exists, could he be sitting there letting these things happen for his own personal amusement? And if that is the case, what does that say about him? Now, you have many Christians out there who will say that God is powerful. Well, if this alleged God of Christianity is powerful, then certainly he would have the power to stop these things from happening with a snap of his fingers. But you have Christians out there who would literally say that, God won't intervene because it's just a violation of free will. And to me, that is just a lazy cop out. That's something that Christians have a habit of doing. So I ask the question again, is this alleged God of Christianity good? Well, the answer is no.